love the little heart balls, little ping pong balls. Welcome, everybody, to another Friday Night Live where we talk about all things attention around your mission, your message, and your movement in an ever so noisy marketplace, and how you can take advantage of processes that we're experimenting with, people that we bring on the show, people that mentor us, and things we've learned along the way that have helped us to get visibility in our markets so that you can use that for your service, business, product, or just to make the world a better place in some small way. And
Absolutely.
we have the absolutely incredible Molly with us tonight. I'm very, very excited to have you back. Welcome back. So, today, our topic is we're talking about starting out and how to figure out who you serve. Because even when you kind of like, I'm funnels, I do funnels. That's me, I'm a funnel person. Then it's like, okay, well, what kind of funnels are you going to make? And you say, I make funnels for everybody. My funnels are the best, and everyone's going to want D's funnels. And you're going to name your business D's Funnels LLC or whatever. And you're not helping anybody by helping everybody. So we got to niche down and we got to see who we really help, right? And so the reason I wanted to bring up this topic is because this has been coming up in my business from people I'm working with and obviously myself a lot lately, like an excessive amount lately that this has been coming up to where I talked with a guy who made an app and he's like, this app is going to help everybody. I want to help restaurants, families. I want to help out industrial. I want to help out da 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 da. And he had like 10 more. And I go, pick one and we can keep talking.
Yeah.
And he goes, what? He goes, but I can help so many people. This thing's going to sell like crazy. It's going to be $1 bajillion overnight. I go, no, it's not. And this was hard for him to hear. And which I know it was hard for me to hear because you want to be like, I help everybody. My thing crushes it for all of you. Every one of you is my ideal customer. Maybe someday. Yeah, someday. And I think Steve Larson said it best. We bring up Steve all the time, right? And because Steve knew his shit, knows his shit. And that is, he said, you pick a niche, a nice small niche, you become the category king. You become the big fish in a little pond, and then you expand. And then you do the same thing. Big fish in a little pond, and then you expand. RJ Ahmed, thank you so much for joining us. My man, RJ, I got to give a quick shout out to RJ. He has Russell Brunson on his show, man. 100th episode, Russell Brunson. I couldn't be more happy for you, my friend. Absolutely killing it. Just a huge shout out to you, man. Your show is fantastic. Your video looks great. You sound awesome. And you've had on some absolutely incredible people. So, huge salute to RJ Ahmed out there, man. Thank you so much for joining us. But when you're starting out, we think we can serve everybody. And the fact of it is, you shouldn't. Because if you serve everyone, you serve no one. So we start out small and then we expand so we become the big fish in a little pond and then you expand again. But we don't go from I serve plumbers in the greater Detroit area that want to level up their business in their fifth year to I help plumbers. You have to expand out in increments, right? We don't become or like contractors in general, just like jump way out. I help all contractors. They're all going to love this. It serves everybody. No, you got to do the next layer out, which in that case would be maybe plumbers in a county for that same purpose. And then maybe you extend out to the state and then you go beyond that. And then you start adding in other little services on top of that after you've hit the $1 million mark. What do they say one product, one platform to 1 million. Focus, laser focus. Focus is what makes a true business. And so, Molly, I know that you've experienced this. You've actually hit that mark, which hats off to you, of course. But can you attest to that? That focus is what takes you there?
Absolutely. you have to, let me back up. It can feel really overwhelming when you get out there and you start doing business. You're like, oh, I know exactly who my customer is. And then you go out into the world and your customer's not there at first. And so you're like, okay, well, I'll just work for anyone. And I'll stretch that definition a little bit. Um, I'll I'll uh, I'll be able to handle it. And then you realize that it doesn't quite work the way that you would hope that it does. So what happened for me was that I thought I knew who my customer was, so I started pushing for my customer, and then someone completely different popped into my lap. Um, but it was because I focused on understanding who they were in order to best serve them. I felt freed instead of feeling like I was only forever the rest of my life going to focus on trying to target one person. I realized that I did have the flexibility as long as you have the understanding of how do you best understand your target audience? How do you then best listen to them to best serve them, for the short term, for the long term, et cetera, et cetera. That's a tangent for
I
another
think that's
day.
a great
Hi,
question, and
Carrie.
I'm going to pose it to Carrie. But, ladies and gentlemen, we have with us an incredibly special guest, one of my favorite people on this earth, Carrie Thomas Amaro. Absolutely fantastic, the queen of branding. Very honored to have you join us tonight. So that get that out of the way. I'm fangirling a little bit,
Oh my gosh, I love you so
but
much.
but same question to you. How do you discover who you serve when you're starting out and everything's so shiny?
Oh my gosh, you know this. You know I love this question.
I know you do.
So I always say there's two questions that you have to ask yourself when you need to figure out like who do I serve. The first question is what is the true impact that you want to make? Meaning that
Mhm.
you need to first kind of take some look within and figure out like who you are, why you're on this earth, what are your strengths, what truly lights you up inside. What I like to dive into is a lot of archetypes. I have a degree in human psychology, so I deal a lot with like understanding archetypes at a very different level than you might see online. Um, and then the second question is who are the people that you truly want to serve? Like, who are they as people? Not as like, what areas are they in? Not like where's their tax bracket, but who are they as human beings? Like, what is those thoughts before they go to bed? Like, what are the things that catalyze and push them into action? And then with that, that's going to be what I say the power of the big two. It becomes your laser focus and like your beacon to know like this is the place that I need to be. And anything outside of that, you now know that's a shiny object. Literally, like my operations manager, she'll be like, I'll be like, oh, I'm gonna do this. She's like, Carrie, big two. I'm like, you're right, you're right. I know it's not. It doesn't have anything to do with it. But knowing those two things, the impact you want to make and the people that you want to serve, that is how you're able to be able to build an audience of your people. And then the cool part about it, and then I'll be quiet,
Oh, you're
is
good.
that your person can be at different levels in their journey. That's the cool part. And I think this is what kind of what Molly was talking about is that I have clients that are just starting their business. I have clients that are doing $10 million. But the thing is, they're the same person. They have the same hopes, dreams, ambitions. They have the same things that scares them. They have the same excitements, fears, everything. They're just in different phases. So when I create my offers, I create offers to develop them into the $10 million, even if they're not there yet.
Excellent. Absolutely. Right on. Now, the question from there becomes, I imagine, because I was there myself, how do I do that? How do I go out into the world and discover those answers, that data that I need to then make decisions from?
So what I tell everybody, go take the quiz.
And
so
feel free to link to that in the comments if someone
yeah,
would like to go take that quiz. Definitely all about it.
yeah, so I have a quiz. I have a quiz called the Brand Soul Quiz, and this quiz is created for you to first understand what lens you look out of when it comes to making your decisions in life. So the moment that you're able to understand who you are, then from there, and especially when you're able to understand it and double down on it, what you'll see is they're going to be natural, ideal clients that are literally panting and waiting for you to show up. Like, and you not changing anything about yourself. You literally being exact your quirky, crazy self, the funny, like the jokes, all the things are literally waiting for you to say them to be like, finally, yes, I am here waiting for your gifts. So what I like to say is that life is full of hills and valleys. Real life and as well as with humans. When you find your spouse, you find someone that fills your hills and valleys. That your strengths are their weaknesses are your strengths. So when you guys come together, it creates this beautiful, magical experience. Now, when it comes to doing that, that's the same thing that you look for when it comes to creating your clients. You want people that literally want everything that you have and everything that you serve without you having to be anything different.
I like that. So the quiz, start here.
Start at the quiz, because the moment that you're able to understand who you are, then you can be able to understand who the people that you naturally are going to want to serve, and it's not going to feel like work. Because there's some clients that you'll get, and it's kind of what I popped in with Molly, is that like there's people that you just are just talking to and working with, and you realize that you don't really like them as people.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't really like you, but we're here now. So it's like being able to understand who those natural people are. It all starts with you. So for me, like I love like giving processes, giving high ideas. So the people that love to work with me are the people that always are stuck they're stuck in the dirt. They're like, Kara, I'm just trying to figure out this one thing. I'm like, do you realize there's like 10 other things around you that you should be focusing on? And they're like, oh, I didn't even see that. Oh, that's so cool, Kara. How did you do that? I'm like, I just said it. Like, I didn't do anything. Like, I've been on so many calls with people that are like, Carrie, I talked for like, we just had a 25-minute conversation of stuff that I've been trying to figure out for 5 years. How did you do it? I'm like, I didn't, like, just be you. Like, they're like, how do you do it? Like, but literally it's because they're so singular focused, which are some people are more detail oriented. So I know that I'm not. So my people are going to be detail-oriented people. If you're a detail-oriented person, your people are probably going to be people that don't know how to look at the details. How easy is that?
Well said. Well said. See, I knew you coming on here is going to be kick-ass. I knew it in my heart. You know, and a segment that you do that I really, really enjoy, by the way, is when you do, like when you're getting ready. And you do like almost like it's like an AMA kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I love those. I really, really enjoy those. And now, mind you, Carrie was someone that I did my show process with.
Show.
And she created a show around it, which I believe is still going to in some capacity, right?
It hangs out when it hangs out.
It hangs out when it hangs out. Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. And it's so great to have you on here. And we have with us she's earned it, Dr. Sanika Lee. And she's earned the. And so,
Thank you.
And Sanika, you have just gone through this process not too long ago, discovering who you serve. So I would love to hear what your journey was like and what that looks like on an ongoing basis, because it never really stops. Right? It's always kind of moving with you and growing with you.
Mm-hmm.
So what is that like for you, and what has that been like for you, discovering who you serve?
It's been, what's the word? It's been interesting. It's been challenging. Trying to find that right person and bring in the right combination to get the right people. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Like, yeah, absolutely. It's like a recipe, right?
Yeah.
A little bit of salt. Oh, too much salt. Okay, let's try that again. You don't want to add too much salt. It's all going to go to shit. So, you know, it's like that's the way I think of it. It's like it's a recipe that is not pre-made for us, or if it has been made before, it's for them. And we have to make it our own, right? And I think that's a misconception, is that here's the path. No, that's one path.
Right.
There's a ton of them. Like a ton. As big as the internet. So it's been really cool to watch your journey, because when you started out, your ideal audience is not the same as it is now.
No, it's not.
And
And
I've loved to see you figure that out as you progress. And I think that you'll probably agree that a big part of that journey for you has been content creation, is discovering what kind of people are giving feedback on, what they respond to, what
Mhm,
they get passionate about. When do they
mhm.
reach out to you with questions and your DMs and things like that? But I'd love to hear that end of it from you as well.
I think the biggest takeaway that I've had to learn and keep the biggest takeaway that I've learned and that I have to keep in the back of my mind is that people are always watching. Even though you feel like you're talking to the air, they're watching. I had somebody who I reached out to in May just finally reached back out to me this week. And I'm like, okay, didn't know we pay attention. To a family thing, and my family's like, "Oh yeah, we watch you all the time. For real, y'all watch me? Okay, well let me keep going."
Yeah.
So I have to keep that in the back of my mind. So
And that
because
gives you
when they're
that
quiet,
fire, right?
yeah, when you hear it, it gives you that fire.
Yeah.
But when you don't hear, you're like, okay,
Yeah.
are they getting it? Are they not getting it? Are they feeling it? Or they're not feeling it? And it was like, you know what? We've been looking for your content. So I have to
Yeah.
get back. I'm
I
getting that
love
momentum
that.
back. So yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. And that's one of the big things that I like to do. I like to use my content as a testing ground
Hmm.
and put it out there and just see. Because if we
Yeah.
don't put anything out there, there's nothing to comment on.
Yeah.
It's like we've said in a couple of times, it's like having a blank canvas and explaining to someone how cool it's going to be.
Hmm.
And it's like, well, when you get done painting it, like show me and I'll talk about it. And you're like, no,
Yeah.
but it's going to be sick. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, they're like, yeah, go paint it, and then we'll
Yeah.
talk.
Mhm.
You know, so I treat it like that. Is you can't comment on anything I've created or thought of unless you can see it and experience it.
Yeah.
So I have to keep putting things out and
Hmm.
see what my audiences enjoy and what they're saying. Ooh, we want more of that.
Yeah.
I love that you said that too, because I think I know Molly, she's big on visibility. I am as well.
Mhm.
And I know like a lot of times when it comes to visibility, it's the fears around visibility that people have when it
Very
comes to
much.
showing up online. And I always say there's two hacks that I like to give for people around visibility fears. One is to attach yourself to the impact that you want to make.
Hmm.
And what I mean by that is a lot of times when it comes to their fears around visibility, it's a personal fear. It's like I'm scared what people might think of me. I'm worried like how I'll show up or stuff. Like, what are they going to say? But if you,
Hmm.
when you attach yourself to the impact that you want to make, which is why I always talk about my big two, is why you attach yourself to that big impact you want to make. You realize if you don't show up, you're doing a disservice to the people that you said that you wanted to serve.
Well
So then,
said.
that fear is like, oh dang, like I got to now. Like they go, they gonna come for me if I don't. They're gonna be like,
Right.
for me especially, like Carrie, I see you ain't been on social. Nah, you can't never say that about me. There's a reel that goes out every day. There's one that goes out on every day. So when I tell them just do one a day, they be like, oh yeah, Carrie does one a day. Okay, I can do one a day, or do two a week or something like that.
Yeah.
Also, the next one is what I say. This is my favorite line. Is I say you have to put pet fish energy on it. And what I
Welcome, John.
Hey, John. And what I mean by pet fish energy is a lot of, so when I was a little kid, like literally, like we had a fish like that died, killed itself so many times, and my mom would just go buy a new one. Like it would commit fish-icide, and then my mom would just go buy a new one. Fish-icide, like we had
Did
like,
you say fish aside?
because it would jump out the tank. It would just like jump out and just be like, all right, I'm done. And like, my mom literally would just go buy a new one, and like she just literally would like.
Oh,
So like for a long time, we didn't know it was a new fish. And then we got to a point and she was like, do you know, like, this is like Wilbur, like the 17th or the 23rd or something. I'm like, he just keeps committing fish-icide. And I was like, so then when one of my clients asked me, they were like, Carrie, like, I'm so scared about content. I was like, you have to be able to put pet fish energy on it and realize you just got to get a new one out. Just go buy a new one. Love you. And
I love it.
I love this so much more than I can express in words. I am using this and I will credit you every time.
Yes, like I tell my
Fish
clients,
energy.
like, just put some fish energy on it. Like they're
I
like,
love it.
got it, I'm ready. Like,
This is
so
happening.
it's like, don't worry about it. Like if it dies, if like people hate it, like guess what? There's a new one right there next, ready to go out.
And that's a great topic. Is so much of social media is temporary and fast. Like Twitter, it's like what, you get a minute max, maybe 30
Yeah.
seconds for it to live and be done.
Mhm.
That's why Alex Ramosi uses it as a testing ground for messaging. He'll put something, just a random thought he has, he'll tweet it out and just see what the response is. If the response is good enough, now that gets to be his YouTube content.
Mhm.
That's his testing ground. And I just thought that was so smart that he uses it like a mind dump. You know, like, here's an idea. What do you guys think? Here's an idea. What do you guys think? And if it's good enough, then he takes the time to shoot the reels, to shoot the videos.
And if it doesn't, guess what? He puts another one out. Like
He puts another one out.
it's like it can make like content aside. It's like,
Everyone already forgot it ever existed if they saw it in the first place.
there you go.
And I think that's easy to forget. Is like, oh, if I make this YouTube video or this Facebook video and it sucks, then everyone's going to be like, you know, it's just not that way. There's so much content, so much messaging, so much sales happening on a daily basis. And refer back to Steve again. Steve, you're killing it. But he says, when you get annoyed with yourself to where you're like, people are going to hate me if I post one more piece of content, that's the moment where people are just starting to notice you exist. Which is crazy. It is. It's nuts because we're the ones making it. So we got blinders on. We're like, man, I've done a ton of content lately. I feel like, you know, Aunt Susan's going to start telling me that she's going to take me off her Facebook or something, which, by the way, segregate your audiences.
Yeah. And it's so funny because like I had a moment yesterday. Like I love Alex Sharpton. Like I friended him like literally 3 years ago, and I finally got my friend request accepted yesterday. I was like,
Yeah.
he finally knows me. I was like, this took 3 years. Like we've spoken on stage. He's like, he finally knows my name. I got the acceptance. I was like, oh my gosh, like I can live now. I'm ready.
I can live now. It's like when I finally got to meet with Liz Benny.
Yeah.
I was excited, but Molly was more excited than anybody. Like, I told Molly, like, casually, I was like, oh, I got in contact with Liz Benny. I might be working with her. She was like, what'd you say? She was like, oh my God, I love her. So now I've been on like a mission to like, you know, meet him up at some point. Yeah. But and Liz Benny, shout out to Liz Benny. She's absolutely
Love Liz
amazing.
Benny. She's amazing.
But that was awesome when that connection happened, especially to see her response and how excited she got. But yeah, so it's temporary. So when we think of it as being permanent, it's just couldn't be further from the truth. You know, YouTube does live on a little bit more, you know, especially if you do good tagging and things like that. But if the audience doesn't resonate with it, it doesn't get shown. It just doesn't. So even the most permanent medium we have, which is YouTube, if it doesn't catch on, it doesn't catch on. So it's like no one's seeing it over, you know, it's not being served up to people if it's not resonating.
So what you're saying is they'd have to go out of their way to figure out that you suck?
Pretty much.
They'd have to really try hard, yeah.
But if you stay consistent on YouTube,
Yes.
you have, let's say, moderate level content. You're kind of connecting with people. It's not kicking off, but you're staying consistent. If you stay consistent, you will get better. Let's just admit to that. You will
Oh, dude.
find ways to improve your editing, to improve your camera presence, to improve your branding and your visual authority. And you'll find all of these different ways to improve as you go through that journey. But your content will also start to get better because every time you connect with a new audience on YouTube, it smartens the algorithm up to who likes your content. Every time people watch your content, it helps refine the algorithm. So you will see an improvement over time. And then once your videos start popping, they're going to refer back to your other content. So stay consistent. Keep your message going. People like to see your growth. They like to look back and see where you were when you get to the top of your mountain peak in your challenge. So stay consistent with your content, my friends. Don't be afraid to share who you are, because someone's going to resonate with who you are. You're going to say something that's going to resonate. Like, I watch a lot of YouTubers, and so I'm also dealing with a bunch of health issues right now. So in order to escape the kind of content I'm watching right now is a lot of travel vloggers and people who are on these fun travel experiences. So there's this one guy. He's a travel agent, and he has quite a substantial YouTube following because he shares a lot of travel tips and vlogs about his travels. Anyways, he also once shared about his health issues he was having. And this was like 8 years ago, I think he said. I could be completely wrong on that number. But it was quite a while ago. He made this video and kind of forgot about it. Well, while he was in the middle of Alaska, he was followed by a woman who at first he thought he was being stalked. He was like, who the hell is this like couple following me and like dodging me and like whatever. And then he came face to face with them and was like, what is going on? Well, it turns out this woman had a substantial health situation similar to what he had been going through. And because she had stumbled across his video from 8 years ago, it helped reignite her will to keep pushing forward and whatnot.
Wow.
And it just so happened that they happened to be in the same place at the same time, and he was able to hear that story. Because so often, as Dr. Sinika was saying, like, we put our content out there and we don't know who's watching it, but it's only once they feel that they can know, like, and trust us enough to reach out to us and connect with us and share those stories do we get to hear about it sometimes. And it's so incredible. So if you ever feel like your content is not worth sharing, that your message is not worth sharing, I want you to think that there is at least one person out there in all of time and space who needs to hear your message, and just share it. Share it for them. Eventually, one day they will stumble across it and they will hear that message, but it's not going to happen if you don't have the bravery and the courage to stand up and say it in the first place. And like we say here quite often, if you have the cure for cancer and you don't share it, what's the point, right? And we've all been called, we're all passionate about changing the world in some way, shape, or form with our, as I like to say them, superpowers. The things that you are passionate about, the things you build a business around. So why not stand up and start sharing that message? Be consistent, and as you go along this process, understand that it's about connection. And that's why we need to understand who we are serving in the first place.
Well,
so I leave you with that.
Said.
I would say drop the mic, but you don't. It's sort of attached to your head.
Yeah,
so
they're
you don't have to worry about it.
expensive.
We're good. You don't have to drop
Mics
that
are
mic.
expensive.
It's there. You're good. It's attached.
And I didn't give a proper shout out to John. We have John Dargy with us with Web Meeting Pro. His product is literally behind him. He is his product. So if you ever go, I wonder what John does, look at that amazing video and ask no further. So welcome, John.
Thank
you have been going through this process as we speak as well, discovering who you serve. And, starting out, you went from 0 to 100 real fast. And so you had some whiplash. I know
Yes.
that.
Yes.
But as you've been going, and Dr. Sneaker too, I know. But as you've been going, what are some of the things that you've been doing to refine who you serve?
That's really interesting because, so like, um, it's been a lot of thought about that actually, like a ton and ton. Because I think about you, I think about Molly, I think about the people that I was like okay, I'm gonna need to do this, need to do this, need to do this. It's kind of like what Carrie was saying earlier. It's like, oh, talk to all these people, and that's part of it. The other part is like kind of looking out there. Like I look at guys like, was it Ken Ozaki? I was turned on
Mm-hmm.
by by Janaid, and he's like, look, check this guy out, see what he's
I
doing.
actually
Maybe you
coach in
did.
Ken Okazaki's group.
You turned me on. He said, take a look at this, and I was like, okay, cool. So you kind of see what he's doing, you kind of see what other people are doing. You get the, and you start to go, okay, yes, no, maybe, right? Like you start to look at what it is that you think makes sense, your spin, your approach, and as you said earlier, it's testing, right? So I've been testing things and trying things out, and it's been really interesting. It's like as an example, I guess, like I think I showed you this the other day, Jim. Like I said, okay, I think I told you back in June or whatever it was, or July. I said there's a way to get incredible quality for not as much money as I even spent on this thing. Like there's like a third of it, right? And it's like, all right,
Yeah. Oh, that looks awesome.
there it is. This is the budget version. It was a $150 camera with a $180 lens, now streaming clean HDMI. It's real. So you're experimenting, trying things out.
Yeah, buddy.
Eventually that'll translate into,
And
here you
huge
go.
credit for the switcher to that camera while you were saying it seamlessly. Like all the credit. That was sweet.
There's a lot of, dude, there's so much experimentation. You're like, okay, well, my camera's not there right now, so it won't work. But I really like my Mavic, and I really like,
Look
and
at you.
these different things you're just experimenting with and trying to see what resonates. And there it is, to see what resonates and to see what. Now, I wouldn't say I've been, as you know, Jim. My been kind of playing Atlas this summer and trying to keep a lot of stuff up in the air. So trying to keep moving forward at all is definitely been my cross to bear. Like trying to, but things that make me happy, solving problems, figuring things out, and then I can see myself kind of regrouping here shortly, and then taking it back out there.
What's interesting though is that you have been refining this, even if you don't realize it. And by refining it, I mean that when you show up to meetings, you get responses. So now you're starting to gather kind of like what those responses are, which is helping you to refine what you offer. What did they notice about your video? You told me one guy goes, I love that pro YouTube setup. He's the YouTuber. So there's one. There was another one to where someone was like, shout out to John because your video looks insane. Like you've told me a couple of different ones, maybe 4 or 5 that you've mentioned. Have you noticed any trends there of what they're calling out about your video?
Yeah, so it's definitely audio. As a start, they go, you sound so buttery smooth, and you sound this, and you sound that. I'm like, well, that's great because that's the technology. I sound kind of normal. I don't sound that great normally, apparently. So there we go.
Yeah.
But in terms of like, it's very in the circles I run with this, which is like my my day job as a SaaS sales guy, in corporate America, doing all this stuff all day. They are blown away. I know for a fact, that when you show up looking a certain way and having an instant visual authority, instantly. And yes, those comments that I've shared with you in the past, Jim, are definitely validation. And the best part is when your CEO and your president are on the same call and they're calling you out, saying, "Hey, you look great." Da, 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 da. They're hearing it, and so you're like, "Okay, well, I see what's happening." Yeah, so.
And then they're like, "Oh, maybe we need to get on this."
That's exactly what's happening. Yes. So like, for me, I think the journey has been a little bit more like I went from 0 to 1,000 miles an hour, and I've kind of been just doing some things, but it's also been learn, experiment, refine.
That's it.
And
That's
I'm
it
working
right
for round
there.
2
Just
here
rinse and
soon.
repeat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely. Well done. Shout out to Yolanda watching. Thank you so much for joining us. And she had a quick question. Let's see. She said, same experience when I work from my home studio at work. I have crap laptop camera. Yeah. I mean, what a difference even a webcam like I have right now makes. Just that little difference. You can even use your phone. Like the new iPhones and Androids are as good as cameras from a little over 5 years ago. The higher end cameras. Do they have as much capabilities? No. But the quality is incredible to where it's really indiscernible. So you can even use your phone. But it really does. It puts you in a different league the minute you turn your camera on. How cool is that? You haven't said a word yet, and already you're the one to listen to. You're the one that they want to hear from. That's so cool. And Yolanda said, coming up with content has been my struggle. I can relate. You know, I went through X's and O's game show as like a weird thing to try. My first 15 episodes were just me fixing things on the fly and hoping that the other 11 people would prop up my show for me while I fixed it. And it kind of worked. It kind of became part of the charm of the show. But I wouldn't have known that unless I made the show and kept going, because there were times where I was like, I need to stop this. It's all broken. But people kept saying, dude, keep going. We like this. This wasn't as fun. Let's try this. They were giving me suggestions. People I had on the show were giving me suggestions. And everyone was so supportive because people genuinely want you to win. The people that give you crap are few and far between, but they're the ones that are loudest. So we take notice of them. We talk about them. But in reality, they're the outliers. And it happens so rarely. I've been doing this now with live streaming for a little over 4 years, and Molly for even longer. And I can count on one hand how many people came on and were kind of like, not cool. And even then, I ignored them. Or in some cases, because it was entertaining to me, I destroyed them. And I made them wish that they hadn't woke up that day. So it really depends on how you're feeling. But now that I've learned more, I just ignore it. But at the time, I took it personal and I jumped out. But those people out of thousands, literally thousands, that have watched my shows and our shows together with me and Molly, less than on one hand, like it's like 4 total. So what we build up in our minds as being the biggest fear generally is not even remotely a roadblock. It's all in our heads. So my recommendation for you with coming up with content, that I can help you out with. And that is, if I can share my screen real quick, this is what I do. And then I'll go around and we'll kind of get some feedback. I'd love to hear Carrie's opinion on this as well. And Molly and Sanika and John. Let's see here, share. But this is what I do. So Yolanda, if you could, let us know what your topic is, what your niche is, and I will refine this search specific to you. But let's just come up with a niche here real quick. Anybody, shout out.
Pickleball.
Fine. Pickleball, Tammy Fink. So pickleball.
By the
I'm
way,
going to look it up on YouTube.
I played yesterday, just in case anybody.
Oh, nice. Yeah, shout out to Tammy Fink. So what am I doing? So I'm going to be looking up, is this a service we're offering or is this a product? Let's narrow it down a little bit more. let's say it's a pickleball racket we're selling. Is that appropriate? Is it a racket or is it just a paddle? It's a paddle.
It's like a paddle. It's like wood.
It's a paddle.
Okay, pickleball paddle. Let's check out reviews. So, best paddles. Now, I don't care about the video. This is what I care about. The comments. So this is where I start. I don't even watch the video yet. I see is there a lot of bounce back? Or is it a lot of people going, man, killer video? If they keep saying killer video, now I watch the video. If there's a lot of feedback down here, this is where I stay and this is where I live. And then maybe I'll watch the video just to see their presentation for inspiration. But this is where the gold is. These are real people already interested in pickleball paddles or pickleball as a sport, giving you valuable feedback. So now we know what kind of content to create based upon this feedback, because their feedback is saying, listen, there's a gap in what you're saying. I want to know about this. So their content didn't meet that requirement or that need that that potential customer had. So now we fill the gap. That's really as simple as it is. So I'll give you an example. So let's look through some of these. Have been considering whatever that is or whatever that is. Seems like it might be too light, but I'm also now looking at Julo radius or vision. Thanks for doing this video, but would love to see something on how the Julo paddles compare. So comparison videos. There we go. First, right out the gate. I would like to see comparison videos of different brands against each other. How do they stack up? Once you go Gearbox, you never go back. All right, so that's just congratulatory. We're not going to look at that one. This is the best paddle review. All right, so cool. If there's a bunch more of those, I would watch the video. I'm impressed with this. It's insanely awesome. Get wore off my Ben Johns and listen. This is like a new language. What is happening? The top of my Electrum E cracked when my partner and I clashed paddles in the middle. Edge guard cracked as well. Cheap plastic edge guard. All right, so durability. All right, so she gave me the niche. She said the niche is helping people access justice with services. I need a little more info, Yolanda. So what do you mean by helping people access justice with services? Do you mean like lawyer help, like getting an attorney? Or do you mean like social issues help? Yeah, I just need a little more information. So we'll keep going on pickleball just for a minute until we get a little more info, and then I will definitely dive into this for you.
It's funny, Jim, when you read it, I was like, can I buy a vowel for more info?
Yeah, like this has a whole new language. I feel like I'm reading a different language. All right, so let's see. Trying to find a difference between Wave Pro and Rain Pro. So another person saying, I'd like to see a comparison against two brands. So we're coming up with content already. Whenever I see reviews, all paddles have edge guards. I know they haven't considered Gearbox, a big miss. So there's another one. Comparisons. They really want to see comparisons. Great info. Gearbox fan. Also has a long handle. So maybe some specs. Talking about specs about the objects because they're asking if it has longer handles. Enjoy, but I'll stay with this. Grit is not a highlight of the paddle. Don't care. What do you think about that? New masters. So comparison. Really, that's where I would start then. That's what most people wanted to know. How does this compare against this? I have this. Should I move to this? Is the paddle long enough? Because this one was long. It's all comparisons that they're looking for. So if this was my niche, I would start there. And obviously, I'd look at several other videos and start to create a list. If it's mentioned at least twice, it goes on my list as a topic.
Rattle blocks or whatever that is was twice in those comments, man. Like, so you better recognize whatever.
You got it. All right, so Yolanda gave us a little more info. She said, yes, being able to speak to lawyers without having to pay high fees and retainers. All right, awesome. Cool. We can get into this. So I'm going to look up
all the different
online.
ways that people all the different reasons why people would need a lawyer.
Yeah. I mean, first, I want to start with the services, right? So I'll start there first, and then I definitely do want to go in that direction. So online lawyer services review. Here we go. So I bet you there's going to be some complaining on here. Again, sorry, Taylor. I'm sure you're a very nice guy, but I don't want to hear you. Let's see what we got down here. I'm a real estate investor, so you wouldn't advise hiring them for like reviewing contracts or facilitating closes with escrow. So specific. Will this work for me? So this is one piece of content we could do. So if you're in this niche, in this world, this online lawyer will be able to assist you. But this is the threshold. Beyond this threshold, you need someone in person. So that's valuable information. And their response, hiring LegalZoom for anything is typically bad. They don't have the checks and balances that get you with an attorney. Attorneys aren't perfect, but they tend to do a better job. Okay, so they had one comment. Not a lot of great feedback. But let's see what else we got here. 20K, real lawyer. Should you use Rocket Lawyer or LegalZoom? Let's see what they say.
Hi, my name is Sheila. And
Wonderful, Sheila. Let's see. Online document processing websites are helpful to file forms quickly. However, it's what you don't know that could end up harming you in the long run. So I think they're referring to a digital-based service versus talking to an actual lawyer online. So I'm going to make the assumption.
Compare those.
You could compare those, absolutely. But I'm going to make the assumption, Yolanda, that your services are speaking to real lawyers, but online. Maybe in like a Zoom setting or something of the like. Is that appropriate? But I'm going to go forward until I hear from you that that is the case. So Molly made a great point, definitely comparing those. This is what you can get with this. This is kind of where that ends and stops being useful. And this is where you step up to talking to a real lawyer, but online.
We're always looking to throw rocks at our enemies, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we look at what's just based on what Yolanda's already said, it sounds like her service is a step up from LegalZoom, where LegalZoom seems to be templates where, yeah, talking to a real lawyer is going to help you get better, more customized information. It's a step up, but it also sounds like it might be at a way more affordable price point. So you can speak about how, yeah, LegalZoom might be a comparable price point. I have no idea. I don't know what your price points are, but maybe LegalZoom's a comparable price point, but quality of service and what you're getting completely different. So you want to do lots of comparisons in the different areas that you are different. And then the second half of your content is highlighting what makes you so great.
Excellent point. Excellent point.
Can I just say something?
Of course.
A reaction video, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
I'm afraid. I'm legitimately afraid.
Ooh.
And
all right. So we have an objection.
Look at our first commenter. He's afraid. It's what you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm legitimately telling you, like when you start talking about lawyers, the first thing that happens is fear, because I have a reason to talk to a lawyer, and there's a reason I need to talk to the lawyer, and so the fear is real. So
That's
I don't even know what happens next. I just need to know that you should recognize this because there is real fear in this particular topic. And so if there's a way to kind of solve that problem or make it less fearful or kind of give people hope, I think like you can refine it with other messages, but at an emotional level, it's 100% pay attention to that, in my opinion. Because I said, I'm scared and I don't even know what's going on.
So Yolanda says they can actually speak to a real lawyer by giving them an app to tell the lawyer what you need help with, and they reach back out to you in like 4 hours. All right, that's pretty great. So pretty much on-demand real attorney services, but online. I like that. So here's another idea. This is a specific but common reason to have a lawyer, which is a tenant landlord dispute. So you could talk about how to navigate that in a normal setting and what that may cost. If I have an in-person lawyer, you could be like, hey, you're going to pay $150 an hour. The first meeting you have is going to be discovery. Nothing will get done. They're just going to literally give you advice and suggestions how to move forward. And then you have to pay retainer. And then they operate off that retainer. So you're looking at, I have no idea, but let's just say $2,000 to get through a tenant landlord dispute with an in-person lawyer. If you try to do it through LegalZoom, you only get up until this point and you're not allowed to add on any addendums whatsoever. So anything that the landlord may say that they want you to put the rent in escrow while you're having your dispute. So you're not paying it to them, but it is in a mutually visible escrow so that they know that when it is settled, they will get their rent. So you can't do that on LegalZoom, let's say. Talk about that. And now talk about what your service does. If you go through our service, you save, let's just say as an example, $1,000, and you get all these extra bonuses that LegalZoom just can't provide because it's an automated software, not a real person. So I would go through very specific but yet common reasons to have a lawyer and what those would look like in different situations. And obviously your service is going to shine. So one other example there. Let's see here. But this is where your goal's at. This is where I start every single time when I'm looking for, like, what is this market? What do they want? What can I provide out of that list and be damn good at? And then what can I talk about? This is where I start. So how you find a lawyer for a particular case involves multiple issues. COVID mandate. Employers under 100, but using their personal beliefs to deny testing as an option for its employees. Another incredibly specific use case. So what I would do is I'd put it under the umbrella of dispute with your employer. The other one would be landlord tenant. So it's not like huge umbrella. It's still specific, but it's common enough to where people wouldn't have to be like, well, I'm not in that super specific micro case, so you can't help me. You're under an umbrella that's still encompassing enough of a common issue. And I would just make like 20 of these common issues and dig into them. And even better if you can talk to people that got burned.
You know what I like too, Jim, for this is I'm not saying make up stories, but create scenarios. So
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So create a scenario where there's a thing that we call in the business, which call parallel universe. And when you think about a parallel universe, it means that my story, your story, and our story, like we have similarities. So it's creating these tethers as we're telling the story. So at the end of it, it creates this bridge, which is the person who doesn't have you and then the person who has you, and showing what that experience is going to be like with that person that the person who didn't have you had to go through.
Well said. Yeah, I think that's fantastic. Whole other angle to go approach it from. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
And here's even another comment here. It says, thank you for this video. It was helpful, but I always look for the buts. It was helpful, but it might have been even more helpful had you actually downloaded Rocket Lawyer, looked at a specific will, and commented on it directly. So this video left a gap of not showing what the products look like or what that experience is like. So maybe you could even, and I don't know what your capabilities are, but if you could do a Zoom call or a mock Zoom call with this business, show what it would have been like going through Rocket Lawyer. And then obviously you could just give the stats on a local lawyer of what they would have charged to even talk to you. So I think that where the market is really asking is for specifics of what they're dealing with. So give yourself umbrellas that are common umbrellas, but like landlord, tenant, employer, divorce, alimony. There's like the big reasons you need a lawyer, right? And then I would make videos based around that, so that when they say, well, does this help if I'm going through a divorce? And you go, actually, I'll refer you to this video, and after you get done watching that, let me know when you're done and we'll get on a call. So now you're using it as a lead gen device. So they go through, watch the video, know now that you have experience with their specific thing. So now they know, oh, my thing's not special. It still works with what they're doing here. And now you use that to parlay into a call, which then you can close. So lots of great gold in here for you, Yolanda. I hope that you found this valuable. If you have any other questions in regards to this, we are your resource. So let us know if you have anything else that you wanted to ask in regards to this, and we'll connect you up with a process that'll work for you. All right. Thank you so much. All right. So now I'm going to pose a question to you guys. That's what I like to do. So now, Carrie, where do you start?
So I have a thing where I call it the humanistic content strategy. And with that is, so first, let's frame it this way. When you come to look at social media, what happens is people go to most people's pages, and I would say about 90%, they go to their pages when they need something. I need to feel inspired. I'm ready to sign up for this program, so I'm ready to start learning more. I want to see where they're hanging out and what they're doing, because I'm about to go where they went last time I saw them. So they're going for a reason. So what happens when that's not happening? Exactly. Nothing. So with the humanistic content strategy, it's all about being able to create those facets on your page so people are always coming. So I was speaking in Denver at this thing called Tech Alley Denver, and there was a guy that was talking about how right now that it takes about 14 to 28 touch points for people to take action. Now, if they're only coming when they need something, how long do you think those touch points take to happen? Months, years, lots of time. So in the humanistic content strategy, it's all about showing those who you are. So meaning you're like who you naturally are. Like, so what are the mindset shifts that you had to take? Where are you going in life? What's happening? What books are you reading? Really what I call all things you. Then it's all about using your strategic property. What are your frameworks? What are your processes? What is your intellectual property that you're putting out into the world? Parallel to that, because a lot of times what we see, especially in the marketing space, everybody wants to share how smart they are. They're like, I'm super smart, find out about my amazing gifts. And they're like, cool, but that doesn't help me. So this parallel piece of content is what I call resourceful content. It's all about creating these micro quick wins that pushes somebody into action and leads them closer to finally making a yes to work with you. The next one, what I call, is heart content. This is the content that really gets to be the flag that you plant in the ground for people to be like, oh, like I understand now why she's super passionate about that. I understand now why she's going down this path of talking about this so passionately. I get it now. And then the other one is what we call client experience, which of course most people do their offers and their testimonials. But what's really cool in this is where you get to share who are your people. Because a lot of times people don't even like, nobody says, oh, I work with these people, unless you're doing an elevator pitch or you're about to speak somewhere. Mm-hmm. Letting people know in your content, hey, I work with these people for mine is we're meant to work together. Here's why. And then they'll be like, oh my gosh, that's me. We are meant to work together. Carrie, what's up? So when we do that, literally, Cole guy came to my Instagram. He was like, I didn't know him like a can of paint, came to my Instagram. He was like, hey, I've been following you for the past 2 weeks. Can we jump on a call? I was like, yeah, sure. Close him a 5K VIP day in 2 weeks. Why? Because we have a humanistic content strategy that creates all of those touch points quick.
I love that.
Yeah. So that's all
I love that framework. Excellent framework. And shout out to Jay Lee, the sales ninja. I believe he's on vacation right now. So tune in on vacation, Jay. I hope you're not in the bathroom.
It's so true what they say about you, Jim. Just want to say for a record. Hey, Jay Lee,
They say a lot of stuff about me. You have to be.
You
more
don't bring
specific.
people on here that ain't just throwing down like crazy. Carrie's stuff is incredibly cool. I'm like seriously impressed. Like again, like your friends are amazing. Just want to say so. No, it was great. Thanks,
Thank you.
I think
Awesome.
it opens up your aperture to something completely you wouldn't even really think about. When you're trying to start off, and I think that was pretty inspiring. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yay!
Nailed it.
Ding, ding.
And last but never ever least, Molly, where do you like to start? Where's ground zero for you?
For coming up with content.
Oh my God, this is
For finding out what the issues are, who you serve.
Who I serve? Comment section of my own videos, I think.
Yeah, there you go. But what about before the videos, to come up with the ideas for the videos, to even like square one? I haven't touched the camera yet.
One.
Where do I start?
Okay, there's few places you can go. Let me pull up a new window and I will walk you through a very, very simple free process that you guys can do. Here we go. Sharing my screen. Get ready. Are you ready? Are you ready?
Let's do this.
Are you ready?
Escanaba in the moonlight.
Here we go. Oh, look, before we get into
Is this
anything,
Ask the
Jay
People?
Lee. Yeah. All right. So there's this website I want you guys to check out. It's called answerthepublic.com. It's a fantastic tool.
Sure.
And without paying, on their free version, you can get 2 searches a day per internet connection. So what I want you to do is go to this page. I want you to select whatever country that you are searching in. Let's do the United States. Now let's talk, pick a keyword, guys. What's our paddle?
Branding.
Pickleball.
Branding.
Pickleball.
Pickleball
Branding?
again. Yeah,
I love
branding.
pickleball. Let's talk about pickleball.
Branding?
Why not?
Yeah, let's do
Pickleball
branding.
has officially become the sport of visibility.
Actually, pickleball will be a little bit easier.
Yeah,
Really?
Uh,
That's awesome.
Pickleball.
Oh, you
Easy,
guys
though.
are
it's
so
because it's more
funny.
narrow.
Yeah, it's a
Jay
better
Lee said
example.
sales, of course.
Of course.
Sales
So
ninja.
now what we're going to be able to see is broken down into questions, prepositions, comparisons, some alphabetical, or just like putting all the answers in alphabetical. So it gives you a variety of different types of content and questions that people are literally searching for. So you get these nice visual demonstrations of everything if you're into that.
Oh, that's
But what I like to do is go up here and download your CSV. So I'm gonna download that. Now let that load and I will bring it up for you guys on my screen. Actually, I can't show you 2 screens at once. Shoot. Okay, hold on.
It's like a cooking show. Let's do something else for a few seconds.
I can do this. I can show you guys 2 things at once. Let me figure this out.
She's solving it on the fly. Amazing.
You're supposed to put it in the oven and already have one prepared.
yes, it has to be.
Oh,
like
I know.
Did y'all watch the Julia Child's thing on HBO?
I watched a movie about her life.
No, it was a TV show. It was like 7 episodes. It was the best thing in life.
It was the best thing in life.
I already loved her, but she's there's not a lot of true jester archetype people out in the world, and she was that, and it was just a beautiful experience. It's
Awesome.
on
I'll have to watch it. What's it
HBO
called?
Max. Julia.
Just Julia. All right, fair enough.
Okay.
It's a treasure.
So-
It just lights you up. It literally was that. You know those shows that just are treasures. It was one of those.
I like it. I like it.
So
Oh, wow,
when
this
you
is
go
nice.
when you go to answer the public, you're
is a
going to
cooking
download the
show. Gucci
CSV,
kid.
which is an Excel file. I'm on a Mac, so it's opened in Numbers. So I get this spreadsheet, and it's divided into those questions, those propositions, those
That's really
comparisons.
smart.
It'll tell you what the suggested thing that people are searching for. So tennis ball or pickleball. Are pickleball and tennis courts the same? Are pickleball rules the same as tennis? These are so many different varieties of questions that people are asking. Then, if you want to get really nerdy about it, you can take those same questions and whatnot and type them into Google Trends. So let's say our
Trends speak.
pickleball paddles wood. Let's get that question. And we'll put it over here into Google Trends.
Watch for the numbers. What's this say? Oh, it's not huge.
This one doesn't work. So, how pickleball is played. Let's try that one. Okay. So, if this is happening and you're not finding answers, this is because your keyword is actually too narrow. So now we're just going to go and type pickleball.
Exactly. You got to open up a little bit. And there she is.
Bam.
Look what
Now we
happens.
have some responses.
Look at pickleball.
So from here, from here, we can compare to a different search term. So if we find that we have two medium-sized keywords or search terms that we want to look for, and we're like, is it worded in this way or this way? This is where we can do an A/B kind of comparison. We can also change what country we're looking in, and we can select worldwide. It will usually default to whatever country you're in or whatever country your VPN thinks that you're in. We can also change how long of a back history we're looking in for our search. So say there's a current event that you're targeting and you want to look for, let's say, an event like the Olympics that happens multiple times throughout time. So you can refine it down to just this year's Olympics, or a piece of content that's more timely. You can go down and see, like, what are people saying in the last hour or 4 hours about this piece of news. You can change your categories as well, but I don't really usually play around in that area. You can see across time whether there's been an increase in interest over this. And you can also see where in the world there's more interest, which again helps you refine down if you're trying to target a certain area. This can get really, really nerdy. So it can be a place where you can easily get overwhelmed. So don't worry about it. Just let it be information for you. Okay. It can get exhausting. But what's cool is down here at the bottom, it gives you related topics, which sometimes are totally unrelated. And then related queries, which sometimes are more accurate. So again, these are things that people are literally typing in. They don't need to grammatically make sense, because we're not here to judge people's grammar. We're here to get their clicks. Let's just be honest. We're here to get our content in front of them. So answer the public, fantastic way to get questions and things to get started with content. YouTube or Google Trends, another great place to find what people are currently looking for. And then what I do, which I'm not going to show you guys because it's going to take a little bit too long, is I have an Excel document that I just keep adding to. Every time I find a new video or a piece of content that someone else is doing that's an interesting headline or whatnot, that I'm like, ooh, that could work for my niche, or that could work for my industry. I'm going to keep all of those in one big document. So whenever the inspiration hits, we throw them down into one running document. And then when it's time to sit down and create your content plan, or create your single piece of content, if you're going piece by piece, you have a running document. You just pull one video at a time when you're ready. That's where I start.
That's like black belt grade
Yeah,
17.
That was really smart. I tell people
That's-
ninjutsu on marketing.
That's like
research.
basic.
Wow. I
That's
know.
basic.
I also
Amazing.
sent you a Quora link as well.
which
Quora is another
scares
good one.
me that you said that that's basic.
She threw down.
Oh, heck yeah. Heck yeah. Like that's just what you can do with free tools. Paid tools are even more crazy. The kind of information that they can give you, and you can really start refining in, say you're utilizing YouTube as your platform. You want to use YouTube in the way that it was designed. So there are certain pieces of software that will grab information straight from YouTube's brain, let's say, and they'll be able to say, here are the top performing videos within this keyword. You can look up those and you can see how you compare to them. There's other tools that will give you the right keywords to search for, other ones that will compare your thumbnails to others. So once you start playing around with paid tools, it's even more specific on what's going to have the highest impact. But with free tools that are out there, you know me, options not excuses, and the tools that are out there that cost absolutely nothing are so friggin' powerful. You guys want another like extra level on creating YouTube content with that process?
Of course.
Okay.
Yes,
Like,
please.
So when you get your list of stuff from Answer the Public, you're going to find, what I literally do is I print them off and I hold, please.
And Quora is another one I like to use as well. Quora is just a knowledge gathering app online to where you can ask questions and people can answer them from all over. Ew.
I print my Answer the Public searches and I go through and I highlight them. And because you're going to find a lot of crap that's not relevant, or most of it's just not relevant, or it's in a different language sometimes. So you go through it and you literally highlight the ones that are interesting and relevant. I have a whole coding system beside them as well for things that are similar. Take the ones that are similar. You'll find a whole bunch of like the exact same question, like, are the rules of pickleball the same as tennis? Is tennis and pickleball the same rules? Same question. It's getting at the same topic and answer, but the questions and the way that we arrive there are different, which shows those are different things that your potential customer is typing into the search bar. Take all of those that you find, group them together, look for those similarities. Then you can create a really high impactful video that's going to rank nice and high in the search, because it's going to be filled with the right keywords that people are searching for. In the description of your video, you're going to have each of your chapter headlines for each of the different segments you're talking about. We can teach you the whole process that we use, but you're going to say, like, here we're talking about pickleball rules, and in your description, you use as many of those different phraseologies as possible in your description. Then if you have 3 segments, for example, you can do that 3 times. You pack it full of the different ways of saying the exact same thing. The answer is the same. The question and the way that we arrive at that answer is going to be different. Using all of those questions in your description helps funnel all of those different ways of arriving at the same answer all together. And that's my giant bonus point. And how you deal with when your SEO keywords start showing you the exact same question, just worded differently. Use it to your advantage. There you go. That's my masterclass. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
That was so awesome. And one of the best things ever, Yolanda said, now I can go make up my content calendar. This is so helpful. Awesome. Yeah. Love hearing that, Yolanda. And definitely tag us on your content. We love to help people light up their content.
Yeah.
The one thing that I'll say, Molly, you're so smart. You're really smart. One thing I will say too, for the because I'm very much that person. Like, she's very detailed. You can tell, like, Molly's very detailed. For somebody like me who's not detailed, like, you stress me. Like, I got so stressed out. I was like, I'm so behind. I was like, I am behind the curve. I was like, I need to figure these things out. So it's like, I think, like, a lot of times, like, when it comes, especially for YouTube and like SEO and all that stuff, like, I always tell people, start off, just play gentle, give yourself grace. And then as you get comfortable, then add these things in, because, like, people like Molly and even Jim, like they're so smart that like you'll be like, oh my gosh, like I gotta like figure all this stuff out. Like literally as we're talking, like I'm on YouTube, I'm like, oh my gosh, I never know to go on the comments. Like, what was I? What's happening? And then I'm like, hold up, what is this? I'm like, I have YouTube, but I don't put and it's because of that. So it's funny that like I was like, I'm learning so much here myself. Like literally, I have like a whole list. Thanks, Jim.
It's you find what works for you.
Yeah.
Because again,
think of
there's
it
so
like
many
playing in
ways
a
to get it done.
Sandbox.
Think of it like playing in a kid's playground, like a jungle gym. There's so many different things you can do. And when I look at the monkey bars, because of my experience and how I was taught to play on the monkey bars, clearly the only acceptable way to use them is to hang upside down on them, right? But then I go to this other school and I see the kids playing in a completely different way, and they're like swinging from the bars and they're going from one side to the other. It's a completely different way of using the exact same thing. And I think
And there's the kids that just walk on top.
Yeah.
You were a weird one, weren't you, Jim?
Nah, it's legit.
Next topic.
So I think that's the thing is like I think like one thing, because I know there's so many new people that's on here, just like give yourself grace and play with what feels good and natural to you.
Exactly.
Because a lot of times, like if you're not a super detailed person, like sometimes spreadsheets stress me out. Like any like PDFs over 30 pages, like don't send it. Break it up. Like don't send it to me. Like break it up, because I get super like literally like I bought this template where it was like all of these amazing emails, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited, it's gonna be amazing. And then I get it's like 284 pages. I got so stressed out.
You're like, that's so much nope.
I was like, I was like, I know it's good, but I literally can't even digest it, because every time I see the page number, I get overwhelmed.
Yeah, I get it. And you said something really important, like in to me, as a matter of fact, and that was you talking about play. I say often, like, you got to give yourself permission to play. It's so important, because that's the testing. But we call it testing, which sounds like like the last time I took a test, it sucked. I don't want to take tests, but I like to play.
I like play.
Because
I like play a lot. It's humanistic.
Exactly. And the moment that you play because like I always tell people, so the one thing that I always tell, like, as an entrepreneur, you're not a content creator. Like you're not like you use content because you're trying to grow your business. It's a byproduct of what you know needs to happen to grow your business. So like a lot of times you'll see a lot of entrepreneurs spend hours and hours and hours and hours on content instead of spending hours and hours having conversations to grow their business. So it's like I tell people, like, you have to look at it as like, I'm not an influencer. I'm not a content creator. I need to do what feels good and natural to me. And then if I want to add on some stuff because I feel a little jazzy, then do it. But if you don't feel a little and you don't feel a little jazzy, like, do it what feels natural to you. Like I tell like our clients, they're like, oh my gosh, Carrie, like I only were able to post once a day. You used to post none. Guess what? Mm-hmm. You're doing things. You're doing things way outside of your comfort zone. So feel good about that. And then once that feels comfortable, it's like almost like, you know how, like, you know, when you, so Molly might know this, Jim, you might not, because like you're a boy. But like, sorry. When I was little in high school, I still do it now sometimes, but like I would put my jeans in the dryer in the morning so they would be tighter, like when I put them on. And then like
I did that before the show tonight.
Because you know how it like stretches it in and like gets it like real good and tight, and then like as the day goes by, it gets like loose. Molly, she's like, you be like, oh yeah. In the morning, you be like, yes, and then like by the end of the day, it's like a little sag on the side, and you're like, man, like I was perfect this morning. So like that's how you want to think about like as you're planning. You want to think about it as like it might be those fresh out the jeans when you first get them, but at the end of the day, they're nice and comfy and a little saggy. But like that's what you love them.
Amazing. Amazing.
Don't
I
you love all
love
my little
this
analogies?
so much. Yes. Fish aside,
Fish aside, pet fish
pet
energy.
fish energy, and that one is added to the list as well. Absolutely fantastic. So we're closing out. So closing remarks from everybody in regards to anyone watching who is starting out and trying to discover who they serve. Carrie, go ahead and start us off.
One, you're a human, so you have to give yourself grace through this process. And know that the people that you want to serve literally are waiting for you the moment that you decide to like truly step into yourself.
Love that. John.
Listen, I learned a lot. I was inspired this evening by various points of view. I think for me, it's definitely like it starts with me, like things that I'm like, all right, I gotta figure this out for myself. I gotta care because I got a lot of things going on, and it's like, but this thing could be very valuable to people and make them feel good and make them look right and do all these things. And so like, it definitely starts with what you like and care about. And you said play. I think that's a great way to articulate that particular point because test does sound very surgical.
It's like, I don't want to take a
sad.
test.
I do a lot of
I wanna
sad stuff.
play.
I do sad stuff all day. I talk to the people, contractors, government. You know, it's all very. So play is good, and that's I think that's I want to do a bit more of that. I actually have been. Even as I've been building this thing, I've been taking video as they go along, and I'm like, I probably won't post this, but I could. But maybe I should. You know, just because it was like you playing, having fun, going along, and I think there's like I've been doing it sort of organically, but I think I've been a little more inspired this evening to kind of play a little bit more and take it a little further. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Oh, I love that. All right. And from my point of view, permission to play, give yourself lenience, like what Carrie was saying as well. And get out there and find the gaps. Find the gaps. What are people missing out on? What are people not getting that they want? They're telling you. We showed you that. They're telling that these people, listen, dude, this is really cool, but you're missing out on this whole thing. And then there's no answer. They never responded to the comment. So there's a gap there. Fill it. That's where I like to start. It's just right away because you know that people are looking for it. Molly.
Yeah, you're on mute. Just wanted to say, there you go.
Hi.
Don't cover your beautiful voice
Hey,
with that
girl.
microphone that you didn't drop earlier.
Hi. Hi. Decided to just, show up today. I was going to say, going off of what all of you guys have already said, is the idea that you guys should stop trying to copy everyone else's content. Why? Like funnel hacking and content hacking and all of that. I get the concept. But what's happening in reality is that you're trying to connect to someone else's audience. Instead, create content for the sake of connection. Content that introduces you to your audience, not introduces someone else's brand, introduces your brand to your audience, introduces your customers to your audience, introduces the wins that your movement gets for your people, introducing all of that, bringing them along for the journey, documenting what's happening, especially if you're just getting started. That's an incredible place to start sharing your journey, because where you're starting, okay, here's a little bit of math for you guys, but it's okay. I hate math, so it's simple. So you have where you are right now, okay? Take that, add to it everything you've experienced, everything you've learned in the past, everything that's made you feel like questioning why things are the way they are, all of that that's happened in the past. You're going to add that into this equation as well. And then add to that your goals, your dreams, and your ambitions moving forward. All of those things are uniquely you. There's nobody else in the world who is at that intersection right now. No one has those same experiences and thoughts and questions and dreams for the future. And what's really, really cool is when you step into knowing that you are uniquely amazing. Sounds really woo-woo, I know, but like hear me out. It's just the easiest way to explain it. But whether you are a fitness coach and you're helping people, I don't know, get back their strength after COVID, that's what I'm dealing with right now, or you are trying to help people buy their first houses, or you're helping people kick off their brands and empower themselves with a new business, whatever it is that you do, you're helping people with your past knowledge, experience, and your dreams and goals and your vision of the future. So step into that. Stop copying other people's content. Be inspired by everything you see, but recreate it with the intent of connecting with your audience.
For sure.
It's the easiest way to create great content because it's unique to you. It's like showing up and hanging out with your best friends and just being like, hey guys, check out this. Look at what I learned. I think you might enjoy it. Yeah.
I learned I need to start putting my jeans in the dryer more.
Yeah.
Right before I go out.
You didn't know that? Like that is the secret.
Like right before I
I
go
learned.
out.
Yeah, and then
About
like
what
you have to be careful though because
It's
like
happening.
you know how like
the button.
the button gets hot, so it's like
I love that Molly answered it before you said it.
the button.
The
Like you be
button.
like, oh.
Oh, but you know you've got them really hot when it's not just the front button that gets you. It's those little button like connectors, the little metal pieces on the back pockets.
The rivets. The rivets.
Yeah.
That's
But
so
you look
hilarious.
amazing.
Yeah.
You look like you're like, oh yeah.
Well, I gotta say, for Molly not feeling well, she came out swinging tonight because
100%,
she
man.
killed
Crazy.
it tonight. Absolutely amazing.
I learned about what happened to Speedy. That was our pet fish. We got from the fair. I learned what happened to him. It was more than one of them.
Fish aside.
This totally
Fish
happened.
aside.
She's right. It's true. It happened.
27 times.
Might have been like 3 in our case, but Speedy was definitely a different makeup genetically a little bit from one
So like it was so funny
generation to
because
the
like
next.
my dad used to be like, so my dad, he used to own, he had like all these rental property, but my dad was like very wealthy, but he was very frugal. Like he didn't buy stuff. Like he was like, we can find it somewhere. So like he had got like this fish tank that was like almost like a baseball. And I was like, me and my mom were like, I don't think they like the fish. He's like, we ain't gonna buy a new fish tank. They're gonna live in this one. So we thought that they just didn't like it, so they kept jumping out of it.
It's because it's shaped like a baseball, Dad.
It was literally a big, and I'm like, Dad, why can't we have? And like, you really, it didn't have like it wasn't pretty. Like, it was not like the fish tanks that all my other friends had. I was like, Dad, like they don't like living here. I was like,
Fish
it's
Sing
so,
Sing.
yeah, it was like Sing Sing. It was like they couldn't have a lot of
Fish
toys
Alcatraz.
in it. It was like you get the bare basics. You get a little fake tree and some rocks, and that's all you get.
That's why they kept trying to escape. It was Alcatraz. You can't escape Alcatraz. No one escapes Alcatraz.
You gotta or
Fish
you kill
aside,
yourself.
man.
You commit
aside.
fish aside.
Fish aside. That's what happens. You don't even
All right. I appreciate you guys so much. The time is the one thing we can't get back. And I super, super appreciate that you spent it here with us tonight. It means the world to us. If you have any questions, we are here to support you on your content journey, getting attention onto your mission, your message, and your movement in a noisy marketplace. That's why we're here. And that's why we'll keep coming back every single Friday for Friday Night Live. Thank you so much for joining us, Molly.
All I got to say, my friends, we talked a lot about YouTube tonight, so come check out the Visibility Hackers YouTube channel. It's so much fun. It's a great time. We got new videos Monday to Friday for you covering a whole bunch of topics related to digital marketing and branding, and getting your content out there. We did a series recently, or we're in the middle of a series versus looking at YouTube versus a variety of other platforms to see what is the best place to get your message out there. Hey, stranger.
Hey, girl.
Oh, hey, girl.
Hey, girl. Hey.
Oh, hey, girl.
All right. Get out there and make something amazing. You got something you want to say to him?
Yeah.
Nothing. No.
All right, my friends, remember, I love you. Be excellent to each other and just go live. People are out there waiting.